Indeed. Welcome back to the Verdict Studios. We've been listening to the collation going on at the International Conference Center.
That's right.
Many states have come. So far, we have about 32 states.
Actually, we have 27 states and the FCT.
So a total of 28.
Yes, and the new states added on before we left you the last time are Lagos, Ogun, Edo, Benue, Imo, Plateau, Kano, Katsina, and Taraba, and of course the FCT.
And so far, well, we're not the numbers people, right?
No, we're not even
the numbers people will come later on to tell us about that. But we still have Mr. Olushola Obasa, a large population registration and document security expert, and we've since been joined by Ayo Obe, a legal practitioner. Thank you for joining us.
And of course, she's the former president of the CLO as well.
That's the Civil Liberties Organization.
So let's just start off with you, Mr. Bay. Tell us. Well, you've sat down with us for a few minutes.
Yeah.
You've watched what's going on at the International Conference Center. What do you take away from this entire process?
Well, I mean, watching the process at the International Conference Center, I feel that the result is coming out very, very slowly. You know, we always hear about difficult terrain, we hear about creeks and all the rest of it. But, you know, these things don't spring up overnight. We should be able to get our results out a lot faster than this. But nonetheless, I think that the process is going on. And what strikes me is that contrary to the assumptions that people have been making, that you can assume that this place will be like this and that place will be like that. In many places, it's a lot more finely balanced. And also, if you also compare what has been happening in the presidential race to what's been happening in some of the other races, that nobody can rely on coattails. That, I mean, there's a certain coattail effect, but that people who thought that all they have to do is say, I support this candidate and through to glory, are discovering that it's not quite as easy as that. I think that voters are displaying a lot more sophistication than they're given credit for, in the sense that, I mean, I had said on my Twitter feed before that I'm not sure that everybody is going to be voting straight ticket throughout. And I think we're seeing some of that playing out in the results that we're getting in these. Not necessarily that the straight ticket doesn't win, but if you see the difference in the votes, that would be a reason why you find that difference. Although I was just telling you about an incident that I was told about by one of my Bring Back Our Girls colleagues about getting to a polling station, and she's a representative of a political party, and therefore is entitled to intervene. And getting there and finding that the voters were being asked, which election do you want to vote for? Is it the presidential? And then when they said presidential, they would be given the ballot paper for the presidential. After accreditation and all the rest of it, they'll be given the ballot paper for the presidential. And then they will vote in the presidential and would not think to ask about the ballot papers for the remaining 2 elections, for the National Assembly elections. So you can imagine that if that had not been stopped, it would mean that there were some ballot papers of accredited voters that were available for use. And, you know, as you were saying, the ingenuity that comes up with some of these things, but it also shows the gap in voter education and so on. It also shows that the struggle at the interest in doing the wrong thing is a more local, you know, they say all politics is local. It's the interest in doing the wrong thing is a more local phenomenon than necessarily national. You may not feel that you have much impact on the national, but you want to make sure that if you're running for the Senate or for the House, you want to make sure that you get your victory through.
Did you notice the trend, looking at the 2 major parties and then the other parties? Remember that there's so much narrative about how things perhaps will be done differently, and you'll see other parties actually making, you know, an impact on the ballot. Did you notice that from what we've seen so far?
Well, I have to confess that I have not seen much of that, or not as much as had been hoped. You remember about 6 months, 9 months ago, the talk was all about third force, red card, I can't remember all the different, there were about 3 of them that were coming out as not the major parties. And there are some that have, adhered to their position because they really don't see any point of convergence between them and the 2 major parties. But at the time when the third force, a lot of it was coming out, it was really more like a refuge for people who had come to believe that the People's Democratic Party was not a sellable idea. And in a way, I would say that the extent to which the PDP has come up, even though the trend does not seem to support the, the way that he's not coasting home to glory. But in a way, the way that they have been able to come up to present a real challenge is certainly a testimony to the fact that people realize that we cannot build something new in 9 months. We need to go back and handle what we already have. And so they went back and they were able to bring their party back into making, to mounting a very credible challenge to the incumbent president. Because I remember that by the time, if you look at the equivalent formation of the APC, which is also a coalition in relation to the 2015 elections, that it was a force more than a year before the elections, and so they had plenty of time. And of course, they were also depending on existing structures because they were a coalition of parties. Whereas if you're coming as a third force or a red card or anything, you have to have not just we don't like, you also have to have this is what we stand for, and we have to build our structures. And I think that some candidates, certainly I have to always doff my hat to my I won't call him my protege, but Omoyele Sowore and the African Action. I think that they had done more in terms of trying to establish structures that would allow them to at least look like the semblance of a party that had something that they wanted to, that was serious about trying to capture power. It may not have succeeded in the, just like that, but they were not confined to a small deal. They did a lot. We could also see that other parties, the YPP, also they made a lot of impact, although there was a tendency to dwindle into a sort of a narrow space. And I think that if you're going to put yourself forward as a national candidate, then you need to be seen everywhere, and you need to just be everywhere,
Okay, Mr. Obasa, the numbers. If you look at the numbers, we're having figures of the number of registration, those are registered, the numbers of those who have collected their PVCs, and then the voting pattern. It looked as if we have less than 50 or about 50% of those that had their PVCs coming out to the votes. Before, Yemi earlier was talking about, Yemi was a guest that was here, was talking about the fact that it tells a different story. It brings forth another party. According to him, we had the APC, the 2 leading parties, and then we had the third party, which is the I Don't Care party. Is that, do you agree with him? Do you think so?
Well, I was not privy to his full discussion, so I wouldn't know. I wouldn't be able to gauge.
He was talking based on the numbers.
When you look at the numbers, I think we have a problem. I know she mentioned voter education in what she said. And when you look at, let's say, for example, Lagos, I think they said there were 6 million registered voters, and we don't know how many collected PVC, but 6 million. Out of the 6 million, less than 1 million have come out to vote. That's about 15%, if my mathematics is correct. And that is dismal. And that means that in and of itself, for want of a better words, the election is not fair. Because let's assume that all the 6 million or the major part of the 6 million voted. Maybe the result wouldn't be what we see, you know, and it's repeated almost all through. And I think Kano has the largest turnout with a total of about maybe 1.5 or 1.6. That's about 5 million. Something is wrong somewhere. Because at the end of the day, we are saying that we are talking about democracy, which is bringing power to the people. So where are the people? Where are they? Where are they not voting? And so that means that there's something that is amiss. Maybe INEC need to educate people further. But let me tell you the truth. Let's be fair. When you look at, okay, like my polling unit, when you look at it fairly, and all places have been, the elites are more guilty. I don't know why. Maybe they are fearful or whatever. I find that the less privileged ones, let me use that word, you know, are the ones that are there voting more than even the elites, you know. So I think INEC has to do something. Voter education has to take priority of INEC if we really need to be there where we need to be in our democracy. Because when you look at right now, I think the total people who voted is about 14 plus about 11, about 25 million, which is far cry from the trump-up numbers that we're hearing from INEC, about 88 something million voters, which is, even if we got 50%, we can say, okay, we're getting somewhere. 40 million, but now we're not even getting...
But Dr. Obasa, can't you say that, when you say that it's about the elite, if it's only the elite that don't vote, you wouldn't have such low numbers. You would have a lot more people coming out to... You would... I mean, the elite is not 50% of the population.
I mean, they are guilty, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, even though they don't, even if they don't turn out, they constitute a negligible proportion of the population, and therefore their decision not to vote, which I will say is not necessarily borne out by people like me, but if you, I'm a member of the elite. If you don't, even if none of the elite vote, if it's the masses that vote, then the masses are in the majority.
Well, that is true on one side, but when you look at it on the average, like I keep on saying, when you look at it on the average, I think the elite are there voting less. Because when I talk to a lot of my friends, a lot of them didn't vote. Many did not vote.
But then your friends are not the...
I know.
Million.
Yeah.
No, his friends are the elite.
Yes.
Mr. Basa, your friends are the elite.
Yes. Yes, but what I'm saying is that...
No, I understand what you're saying. You're correct. You're correct. Yeah, I think you're correct. But at the end of the day, I think we still need to do a lot of work. Because if you say we have 84 million registered voters, and we have 72 million who collected their PVCs. So why do you collect your PVC if you're not going to vote?
I actually find that so baffling.
Yeah, and then you have, now today we have less than 30 million voting. So where is the about 50 million people? Where are they?
Because you're forced to ask yourself, I mean, if we are to rely on INEC's assurance that two people or one person cannot collect two PVCs, that the biometric data will not allow you to collect more than one PVC, then we must assume that each of these 72 million is a living person. I mean, I should say that, yes, we know that INEC does not do a purge of the list because, you know, in other places, the National Population Commission will be able to tell you who died. They will keep the registers of...
Yeah, that is true anyway.
We don't have that kind of purge. But even if you talk about the number who are purged, you talk about some people who have moved away from that. It can't be that huge number.
That's significant.
And that's significant a number. Yeah. And yet, with this low turnout, and yet one has to believe INEC when they say, no, that two people...
No, I think going from what I know with the biometric, I think it's true.
Okay.
You can connect... Okay.
Just... We'll just take a moment there and then go on a quick break. We'll come back to continue the conversation. Please join us again.
Hi everyone, my name is Obi and I'm reaching you from Laval, Quebec. The election has been mixed feelings for me. Because of time difference, I had to stay awake to watch the whole proceedings and everything. But one thing that caught my eye was Channels TV, the technology, off the hook, straight off the hook. Well done, Channels TV. This is awesome. I mean, I could watch Channels TV all through the day. The reportage, the picture quality, the whole thing about the election was good. I mean, it's thumbs up. But I'm still not satisfied with the whole counting thing. I think it's taking a long time. For people like us who live in the diaspora, because of time difference, we have to go to bed. And so if we got this thing done with, I mean, it would make some people like us go to bed earlier. I'm still watching Channels TV up till now, and I have to go to bed to be able to wake up for work tomorrow. So, but all in all, it's been good.